sisters, I hope you have gained more understanding on the subject that we have been teaching now for about a year. Pray Allah that you will remain steadfast. Don't let the whispers of the ignorant, the selfish, and the hypocrites turn you around. Remain steadfast. The prize that is ahead in the road for us, brothers and sisters, is too valuable for us to let petty things hold us back in the road and cause us to lose that prize. Let's forget about our pettiness and move on up the road. Now you know that I haven't claimed to be one that is teaching you exactly what you were taught before. I've told you that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad completed his mission. He did his work. We are not doing his work. We are doing our work. This is a new day, a new work, a new life, a new world. So don't let people whisper around here and tell you the chief minister, he is getting away from everything that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught us. He is changing everything. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad said that you are going to come into a new world. He said that my job is only to bring you up to that door, not to take you into it. Now, in concluding, brothers and sisters, I want you to remember that this is a new life, new world, new teaching. It starts on the base of the old and builds up. But it's not subject to the old. The new world, though it starts from the foundation that was established in the old, it is not subject to the old. Each world is its own world and must defend its own work. That world of yesterday, it was its own world, and it defended its own work. Now this world also is its own, and it defends itself. So don't let any confused person or selfish, self-righteous, rebellious devil put you on the spot and make you feel like you have to defend yourself. Brothers and sisters, you who follow me, you don't have to defend yourself. What we have become, what we have survived, and what we have become is defense enough for us. Tell you well, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said this, and he's saying that. You tell them that Jesus said something different from what Muhammad said. But Muhammad didn't say Jesus was a liar. He said Jesus was a righteous prophet. Tell them that the Arabs also teach so-called Orthodox Islam. But the Honorable Elijah Muhammad didn't tell us to reject them. He brought them on the platform at the National Convention and asked us to respect them and accept them as our brothers. Is that right? And they preach something quite different from what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad preached. So tell them that they can't judge divine working. They don't have enough knowledge to do it. Tell them just see what is proven before their eyes and accept that. If we get hung up on technicalities, well, he says Yaqub is something else. He says that the deportation of the moon means something else. If we get hung up on this kind of language, technicalities, we won't go anywhere. But down, 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 down. Tell them the fruit of the pudding is in the eating. And we are eating the best pudding ever made. And we are struggling hard to get all the hungry pudding lovers to see that we got the pudding now. Ain't nobody else got it. It's our day. They don't belong to no old life. It belongs to the new life. It is prophesied in the scripture that God would bring about a new heaven and a new earth. Is that right? All right, I'm leaving you with these words. If God is going to bring about a new heaven, then that tells us that there is an old heaven that has to be done away with. Now, in the days of old, the people preached to convert people to have the desire to go to heaven, didn't they? Now that heaven that those people went to, if they went, according to the scripture, is going to be destroyed. It's going to die, or either it's going to be destroyed. Because God says he's going to bring about a new heaven. If he's going to bring about a new heaven, then what happened to the heaven that other people went to yesterday? All right. Brother and sister, don't doubt what I tell you. God has blessed me to know I don't get. This is the new heaven and the new earth. Assalamu alaikum. May Allah bless you.
All praise is due to Allah. Brothers and sisters, please remain seated. We are not yet finished up here. We will be in just a couple of minutes with our visitors at least, and then we have quite a bit of business to take care of with the believers. But how many people are visiting with us today for the first time? First time, let me see your hand. That's all right. Is that okay? Is that better? How many of those are visiting with us today for the first or second time? Let me see your hand. First or second time visit. Very good. All praise
Upon him. I've made my feeling on this matter known to the official staff and to the National Decision-Making Board, and the majority of them are in agreement with me. We feel that the current cash flow problem of the Nation of Islam demands that we act on selling the aircraft as soon as possible. Because the aircraft was purchased with funds donated to a national drive by all of the believers across the nation, I want you to know the facts concerning the use and cost of maintaining the aircraft, as well as my feelings on the matter. Some of the items to be considered are as follows. The airplane was purchased at a time when the Honorable Master Elijah Muhammad, peace of Allah upon him, was in an unstable physical condition. In such a condition, hours or even minutes could have been critical in having the ability to quickly move him from place to place. That situation no longer exists. Consequently, the need for non-commercial aircraft travel does not exist. The financial condition of the nation is such today that the maintenance of the aircraft is an expensive drain on our finances. By maintenance, I mean all of the expenses associated with the aircraft, including pilot and co-pilot salaries, hangar costs, service costs, fuel, etc. The cost of maintaining the pilot is approximately $38,000 per year, whether we fly 2 hours per year or 1,000 hours per year. Last year, the plane was utilized for only 14 hours. The total cost of maintaining the plane last year was approximately $195,000. The cost of maintaining the plane now is about $16,500 per month, which is money that represents a constant sacrifice by the believers across the country. Also, the financial condition of the nation today necessitates that we identify as many sources of ready cash as possible. The airplane represents some $1 million in ready cash if it were to be sold. I feel that the sentimental value of the airplane does not justify us closing our eyes to the financial burden that is placed upon us to hold the plane at a time when the nation needs over $1 million to clear its name with valuable creditors. It is my desire to purchase a plane at some time in the future that will truly be a national plane and represent the size and greatness of the Nation of Islam in our worldwide mission. The current plane is an executive-sized aircraft, similar to the kind of plane owned by Mr. James Brown, the entertainer, and other common individuals. The capacity of our plane is only 6 people in addition to my family, which is not enough for proper security, escort, and other officials that should always travel with me. Before purchasing the next plane, we will make sure that we are well organized and financially able to carry such an expense. The next plane will be brought out of the profits from our businesses and not out of the charities donated by poor believers. I agree with the recommendation of the Executive Secretary of the National Decision-Making Board that any administrative structure that would be necessary to undertake the responsibility of overseeing the leasing of the plane would involve another business. For example, we considered the possibility of leasing the plane rather than selling it, and the National Decision-Making Board had the executive secretary of that board make a special study on that. And we found that in order to lease the plane, it would really involve another business. So this is what this is talking about. That would be necessary to undertake responsibility of overseeing the leasing of the plane would involve another business for the nation at a time when we are having difficulty properly administrating the businesses that we have. As the head of this family called the Lost Foundation of Islam, I'm going to see to it that we operate our financial business with the same concern and clear thinking that we use to run our own personal financial business. All ministers are instructed to read this letter to the general body of believers at each mosque meeting until Sunday, February 22nd. On that Sunday, that's today, all believers will be allowed to vote by standing in place on whether they agree with the decision to sell the aircraft made by myself and official staff. Mosque secretaries are to tally the votes and call them into mosque number 2 before the end of the Sunday meeting. Now, I understand we're still on national hookup, so everyone should be hearing my voice. The letter that I just wrote is clear, and it comes from the Honorable W Deen Mohammed. We want you at this time, right here, as well as all over the country, to do what this letter says, which is we're going to take a vote now by standing in place as to whether or not you agree with the decision to sell the plane made by myself and the official staff. A thorough, comprehensive examination has already been done by the National Decision-Making Board and the Executive Secretary to ascertain what will be in the best interest of the Nation of Islam. We expressed that to the Honorable W Deen Mohammed, and he in turn has expressed what we see here. Now, I think probably what I suspect would be easiest, I don't know, and quickest, if we ask first for those believers to stand who are not in agreement with selling the plane. I think there might be less. I don't know. Well, we might have fewer people to, in view of this letter, we might have fewer people to count. Now, let me say to you, we don't have no hocus-pocus vote. If you feel like you don't want it to be sold, then all you have to do is stand up and say so. We don't write your name down. We just pick the tally. So why don't we do that right now? All those who do not agree with the decision made by the National Decision-Making Board and the express desires of the Honorable W Deen Mohammed that we should sell the Jetstar aircraft, or would you stand, please, and we can tally the vote, and we can go from there. Well, okay, then we can say that, are there any abstentions? That means no vote. Well, it looks like we have a unanimous one vote yes. All praise to Allah. All praise to Allah. Very good. All praises. Well, look, when you got a leader like that, I mean, what else can you do but if he say, let's go, let's go. If he says, back up, let's back up. I mean, it's just that clear. And I certainly want to personally thank him for the very beautiful meeting he gave us today. I'm not going to start talking about it. You know, I am one. I got to start talking about Islam. And but I do want to say, if that's the way our old year closes out and our new year comes in, that's the best New Year's party I have ever been to. All praise to Allah. Now, well, we have another matter that we have to touch on. We have undertaken, all the heads of the Department of the Nation of Islam were called in on a meeting this Wednesday, and each one of them had to go back to their department and tell their department, we have been instructed it is necessary to reduce our payroll level by 25%. Now, the cry that came up, of course, you wouldn't hardly believe. Understandably, many were looking for a raise, and here someone comes along and says 25% reduction. That means that the head of that department had to figure out a way to either reduce your salary or reduce his laboring staff by 25%. This went across the board. In fact, it started with the top laborers. Now, you might have heard some time ago when the Honorable W Deen Mohammed, I think it was back in December, came in, he had somebody write some figures across the top of that board. You saw some $40,000 figures. Forget that. That doesn't exist anymore. Back me down in the 20s. All praise to Allah. And those people are still working as hard as ever. So, the Honorable W Deen Mohammed, when he says across the board, that's a man means across the board. To our knowledge, we are not making any exceptions, and the heads of those departments have some difficult jobs, because you might feel that you're already overworked, and you may be. And you feel like you're already underpaid, and you may be. But maybe being underpaid is better than being no paid. That's really where it's at. It's just that serious. This letter didn't come up on general principles. But of course it shows you the concern for the chief minister, who's not concerned about how luxuriously he can sit back and ride. His concern is, what does the nation need? And he reacts and develops things according to what our needs are. A man totally responsible to the needs of the lost foundation of Islam. So we're here to say to you, I'm only to soften that blow a little bit. It wasn't that each department decided, well, I think I want to do this. No, it was necessary to prevent. I could say that at the rate we were going, we probably wouldn't have lasted another 6 months. Now, you think about it, we're over there at the Pioneer Building. The Pioneer Building alone, the name change tells you that building exists on the back of the believers. We are all part of what produced that building. And many were pioneers in the sense they didn't know what a payday was. You heard the chief minister just got to say when he went to school, the teachers came out and did the very best they could for little or no pay. Now what we're saying is you have to agree in your own mind as to your own need and your own circumstance. I mean, you have to do what you have to do. We understand that. But the nation is going to go on. And the administrative staff of the Nation of Islam is going to do whatever it considers necessary based on the directive to us by the Honorable W Deen Mohammed to see to it that that gets done. There's no one here who enjoyed seeing the Salam, a restaurant, closed down. I'm sure. But the Honorable W Deen Mohammed says we came to the Nation of Islam not just to grow businesses. If we can have businesses, all praise due to Allah. I remember the messenger used to say, may the peace and blessing of Allah fell deep on him, he used to say, oh brother, we're building businesses. We want to attract the people. That's what the business is for. He said when the people come, they'll bring the money with them. You don't have to worry about that. But we want to direct and set up businesses so the people will say, well, what are the Muslims doing? We'll show them what we're doing. And the Nation of Islam ran very fast, very, very fast. In fact, we ran so fast that we ran out from beneath the base we had to keep us going. That's how fast we ran. The expertise, the knowledge, the wisdom necessary to keep the Nation of Islam catapulting along at the pace at which it was going, we just didn't have. And then the people came later in the second resurrection, so to speak. But by that time, we were so far there that we had also believed our own propaganda, so to speak. You know, the press was saying, the Nation of Islam worth $75, $80 million. And we started to believe that ourselves. We could never find the money no place, but we believed we must be worth it. Everybody said we were. And I remember myself that laborers used to sit around trying to say, well, now how can we fill up this pioneer building over here? How can we use all that space? Within 3 months, after the last Savior's Day, that building was full. We were trying to find more office space. But there's no productive department in that building at all, to my knowledge, except the import department. Nothing else brings money in. Where do you think the money is going to come from? What do you think you're going to do if you got a telephone bill that's $20,000 in a month? It's astounding, isn't it? I mean, that's just the tip of the iceberg. But what we're saying is, we gonna make it now. Oh yeah, we gonna make it. We'll roll on, we'll move on. Without you, what we're saying is, come along. The chief is the kind of man that doesn't and not gonna do things just for himself. When we do better, we all do better. Now, I'm on salary. Nation of Islam doesn't pay me 10 cents. And I don't say that just for your benefit. I say it primarily for the Internal Revenue Service. See, they'll be looking at my income tax return to be more next year because I'm a big wheel president, and it may be less. So I'll have to go through all them unnecessary tax audits. But it doesn't bother me. I have never lost anything in the Nation of Islam. I don't see no way to do it. You just say, Allah is God, and march on, brother. And it comes. So what we're saying to you is, recognize that the Honorable W Deen Mohammed is busy stabilizing the Nation of Islam, such that our underpinnings are beneath the vast structure that you see, and we have what is necessary to get the job done. But we're asking for your patience. We're asking for you to recognize that what was done because it was absolutely necessary. And I shouldn't have to tell you that, but I do tell you that. You know the Honorable W Deen Mohammed. If he can do something for you, rest assured it will be done. And in fact, let me say this to you. There's a sister may be in the audience and may not, I don't want to call her name particularly, but a circumstance came up where after we read the letter about people being on aid and fraud and whatnot. Now that letter wasn't read to say to you, if you have a legitimate aid situation and and you have legitimately been able to go to the aid welfare board and get them to give you some money on a legitimate base, and they don't have to come to us and ask us to lie for you, I mean, that's all right. They have what you call general assistance programs where you can make a few dollars and still there's certain levels which you can get a few dollars. If it's all within the legal framework, all praise to Allah. We're not saying that. What we're saying is, I don't know, if any of you have ever come to my office and say, Dr. Long, look, I didn't make it to work yesterday, brother. I'd like to get, I'd like to get a little notice. I'd like to get a little slip, I couldn't make it in. I don't think there's no one here can stand up and say, I've ever given it to you. I just don't do that. What is legitimate, I go along with you. If it's not legitimate, I'm just not going to build up the habit of creating falsehood. You get in the habit of doing false, you get in the habit of doing other than right, then you just go right on doing it. Now, obviously I'm no angel. I'm just pointing out that particular situation, the stand that I took. That's what the Honorable W Deen Mohammed is talking about. Now, there was a sister when that letter came out, she wrote the chief minister, and she laid out for the chief minister how many children she got. She broke down mathematically how much money she earned, how much money her husband earned. And I don't find much. I almost dropped tears on that letter just reading it. That sister was uptight. But she was doing all she could to make it, and she was concerned about being cut off the aid. So the chief minister gave me a letter and said, look, Dr. Trump, and he was talking to the minister's class. So he gave a little minister's business, you see. He said, Dr. Trump, you check this out. He said, now, if this is legitimate, he said, what we will do is, since they had $40 a month tuition to the school, he said, now, if this is legitimate, he said, then what we'll do is we'll carry the sister over to school. He said, we can't give her cash money, but what we will do is we will carry her tuition in the school. He said, if we look and check up the brothers work for the Nation of Islam, maybe we can give them a little raise or something. And so that's what we said about. Now, still, we're not even to really carry anybody at the school. The school doesn't carry itself. But what we're going to do is ask people who don't have any children at the school, or have maybe one, and who have a fairly good income, we ask you to pay a double tuition, for example, to help carry